I seconded both nominations.
All right, thank you.
Further nominations?
I'll move the nominations.
Be closed.
Cease, whatever we want.
All right.
I'll second
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, nominations be closed.
Colton,
that. Peterson?
Yeah.
thank you.
We're a tag team.
And,
I won't ask anymore.
so do we do at the same time, just a unanimous ballot, or do you want to vote on the closing of the nominations first?
Doesn't matter, doesn't make any difference.
All right, well, let's vote on nominations
One
being
can, one
closed.
person for
Yes.
each.
All right, all in favor of closing nominations?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, who closed nominations?
Nominations are
Oh,
closed. That
that's,
was
tag team.
that's,
Dan
Colton
and Mark.
Peterson.
Colton
That's what I
Peterson.
had.
Tag team
Yeah.
good.
All right, so, motion for a unanimous ballot?
I make a motion for the next one.
Okay.
Second.
Unanimous ballot has been moved and seconded for O'Connor for president, Osby for vice president. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion
Congratulations.
passes. Yeah.
You did good work.
Well done.
I talked to Mary and I was gonna nominate him too, Dan.
That's why he's not here, and that's probably why
Yeah,
Kurt's not here.
probably. No, Marion's working tonight, I played 5 times.
Okay.
He had to work tonight.
All right, so you, Linda.
Okay. Today was the first day of our summer reading program registration, so Mary and Carol and everybody else was really busy, and of course, we even have a backlog of catalog or materials to put away because everybody brings it in. So we did that today.
I like Mary's picture on the website. I don't know, does it rotate? Is it this?
I think, do you rotate Mary's picture on the website? Do you rotate photos on the website?
The opening page, the home page. You,
Yeah, initially, until we had story time, we had this countdown to story time.
Yes, yes,
And then
yeah.
I put the photos back up.
okay,
I had those up initially and took them down, and now I put them back up.
okay.
Alrighty. We did increase our new patron registrations by 73, and we're gonna have a lot more because Matthew thinks he added 20 new people just today. And people walked in the library for the summer program.
Yeah.
And I noticed when I went around, the teens were even asking questions about the summer program. So our teen attendance has been growing in the last couple of years. So that's a good part. The card holders are 15,000 at this point. And our circulation total is 108,628 right now. And let me see, do I have anything else that I should be talking about? I don't think so. I think most of this is quite self-explanatory unless you can't understand it. You can say something to me. Mary did give me her statistics where in 2004 in April she had 566 children attend programs, and then in May she had 32. Also in May this year she was going out to schools. Same thing with Carolyn. So those statistics will be higher for in June.
Linda, do we have any other sort of longitudinal data? The meeting room use, just kind of curious about that.
Yeah, I did do that. I haven't added it new. This was in 2013, non-library usage, but just people walking in the library or having association meetings or their club meetings was 357. Library use was 210, and that would include having board meetings and other items.
That's the number of individuals who were using the meeting rooms, right? Or the number of
Or the number of
times?
times.
Number of times.
Number of times, okay.
That's
That's nice.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, some days it can get a little hairy here.
Do we have any, like, 2012 data for that at all?
I don't know, I could ask Carol because she's been keeping track of it.
I mean, it's just more of a curiosity to me in
Yeah.
terms of the frequency of use from the facility.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Well, yeah, that's why I put it in there, because I thought gosh, we should really be keeping track of that to show that people do use our
Yeah.
facilities. And even the fact that we have, how many people walking in here every day,
Mhm.
that's a huge amount of people.
That was quite a hit we took with that storm, huh?
Yeah. But we had like 600 come in the very first day we opened. They were just like scared that we might get storms. So, and we do, one of the things Kurt asked, well, how many items are you adding a day? And if you look on page 3, there's that red box. We, since January to May, we've added 2,282 items. 90% of that was print materials and 10% audiovisual materials, like books on tape, DVDs.
And that doesn't include
Download.
e-books. Mm,
Yeah, it does not.
We're not
include-
selecting the e-book, yeah.
No, that's a state contract.
Right.
So we essentially lend about as many items to the Moore system as we borrow.
That's the goal of every member in the system, and they do an algorithm where they'll put you at a certain level, so you're not taking advantage of the system. They like it where you are close to equal. The number you send out to the same amount you're having come in. The last couple of years, we've been at that level. We've always been known as we borrow more than we lend out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a huge amount when I first started.
So about a quarter of our circulation comes through the Moore system.
So what does this mean, Linda, the checkouts of locally owned items at 70? Is that a percentage of everything that's checked out is locally owned? Is that what that says? Okay. Okay.
This is just a quick suggestion. I would like to suggest that the reports that she puts out monthly be changed to quarterly to save her some time on administrative functions that probably don't change a lot.
Well, I would keep this statistics monthly,
You just wouldn't have to publish stuff and put out all the reports.
because
and
it's
whatever.
important to know. But we use it for a lot of,
It's just a suggestion. I'm just thinking about trying to save you some paperwork or effort. I'm not sure that on a monthly basis we do.
Well, if she
anything-
needs it to do her job,
Yeah.
if she needs the data to do her job.
And I don't think that's not what you're saying. You're saying that putting a report together, we should
Yeah.
record it.
Yeah. Yeah, putting the report together as a quarterly report. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah, and I think that's a good one, but I would ask that maybe we ought to hold up on that suggestion
Okay.
for a meeting or two.
All right.
I want to get through the next round.
That's no problem.
Because I think we're going to need this information in front of us for the next couple of meetings probably.
and if I'm not required to do it, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to race in 4 months and try to get it, or 3 months, and get everything in it. For me, I would prefer we do it every month. Because by the end of the year, this annual report comes due and I have the data.
That's fine. I was just trying to help
Yeah.
save you some
I know,
time.
but this is very important to keep track of. Anything else?
I think it's still you.
The next one was emergency numbers. I do have a list of them, just haven't put them in our emergency booklets yet. But I do have a list of the emergency numbers.
Fantastic.
The cell phones, the home telephone number and everything,
Good.
which was kind of.
Where will those go?
We have a emergency packet by the 2 desks. That will be included. I just haven't-
What, for example, What, for example, do you have there? I mean, is it sort of like a carpet falling tree, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Like Tom Zulli, I have his home telephone number, I have his work number. It does not have a cell phone, but I do have a cell phone number in my phone already. He's the head of public works, things like that.
Yeah.
The problem was that when the flood happened,
Mhm.
we couldn't get a hold of anybody. And it was like at 4:30, me and Linda couldn't get a hold of anybody because there was a party going on. And everyone was gone from the office. And
I'm just wondering, I mean, those numbers are kept by you in some location, or?
Yeah, no, they'll be in, we have an emergency manual at each desk, and that's what it'll be.
Would there be any reason why, let's say, the president or vice president shouldn't have a copy of those numbers?
It probably wouldn't hurt if I was ever in an accident or something. Talking about that, oops. But anyway. But even like, you know, the IT people that we have from the city, we have on here. But most of the time I do call them by their cell phone, or I send a streaming email asking to get something repaired or tweaked. Next, the wind project. IFLS will not be participating in the wind project. Yay!
Really?
Really?
If
No.
this is bailed out of it?
It was let's see. It was recommended that IFLS not merge at this time. The two smaller ones, Northern Waters and Wisconsin Valley, are joining together, or merging. And if it had come to a vote for the IFLS librarians, I know we would have all said no. We didn't have enough information as far as the workload increase, the amount of employees we might have to increase, because we were the larger part of the consortium, so we were going to have a bigger demand on our materials. But it was something that they looked into, and it'll probably come up, in a few years again. But right now, it's a no for a minute.
Super. That way they didn't have to fight.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
Well, yeah.
Everything that they put out, they said they weren't gonna share any administrative resources. I mean, it's just gonna cost us more money. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, and see, we have a very well administered or staff levels. They don't have any of that in the other ones. So, and they're really not cooperating amongst each other as far as resource sharing and stuff within their own consortium. There was a lot of changes that they would have had to be made to have us. Because we have it tweaked good, you know what I mean? It's, you follow these policies, if you don't, you get a phone call. It keeps all the librarians honest, all the libraries honest in following policies and procedures and principles. The next thing on the agenda is the technology plan. Who's read it? Raise your hand.
I did.
Good.
That was page
Remember, we made
34 to
changes
37.
to it. Matthew, do you want to, I know one of the changes that Shaw asked was on page 2, where we had anticipated a project yearly cost. We, I believe, had 50-some thousand in there, and that included all of the cataloging and everything. But in reality, we should have just probably had the integrated library system software, which was about $38,000 a year. Any other questions, ma'am?
No, just to clarify, is this already existing, or is this new cost that would develop?
We already
Through-
have 37,000.
We're already doing that. It's part of our technology plan, that's part of the monthly.
Yeah, we're paying for the
It's really
content
nothing new.
and the software.
Yeah, this is really not, I think, I would urge that this be clarified, because 38,000 is not only the maintenance of Sierra,
It's content.
it's content too. So there's 11,000 of content, right? So the real cost of the software is 26,000. So it,
Only thing is, I did take the content out of line item 396, which is, or no, I take it out of that line item to this.
right.
So we can break it down. We can
I think it just the
clarify.
more specificity, because then people will, members will all say, oh, isn't the software cost 38,000? And that's not right.
No.
So it's,
And Matthew, do you remember, did you add iPads or something?
Yeah, it's at the end of priority 2, right above priority 3.
Karen, did you have a question?
No, I agree, that is spelled out that way, 26 and 11,
Right,
when we went over the MORE program.
right.
So I just wanted to clarify that this wasn't in addition to.
Right.
Planning
This is,
for the
what
future.
this is, yeah, right. This is anticipated what the increase would be, right?
That's
Are you comfortable voting on this, or would you like us to bring it back again and have that clear?
I'm willing to approve it if you will make that modification.
Yeah, we can approve with the stipulation.
With the stipulation that, I'll move that we adopt the technology plan
With changes.
with the
Clarification.
clarification on, under priority 5 with regard to the budget.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, the technology plan for 2015 to 2018 has been moved and seconded as amended. Further discussion?
So you'll bring back a feasibility report or study on iPads and so forth? Okay. That makes me nervous.
Further discussion?
So what would you like to see, Dave?
Well, I just want to see what the results of your feasibility study. Just want to make sure there was going to be a feasibility and cost.
Like who
In
would-
loaning tablets, iPads, and those things.
Kind of like what other libraries are doing, and what it would cost for us to buy tablets and
Yeah.
how we would do it. And
Yeah, how well it works for the libraries. Do they sprout legs? Do they walk away? Do you track them?
Mhm.
Lending practices,
Just some research of what's out there. Okay.
what people do, what it would cost us for security, what they do for security of them.
Do you have a
We can't
deadline for this, or just,
No, you got in here as investigate the feasibility, that's fine.
okay.
So it's your study. Have fun, knock yourself out. Come back to us and tell us before you do
Well,
something.
it's interesting, I left the technology committee at school 3 years ago. And what has happened with the use of iPads or tablets, I mean, it's dumb, it's just, the speed of change has just been amazing. If you hear what the schools, I mean, what is it, Minneapolis is gonna give everybody? I don't know, it's just, yeah.
What were you doing?
I think that's just to attract the kids.
Excuse me?
I think that's just to attract the kids.
Well, we were studying anyway, it's just amazing how quickly things change in some areas, occasionally.
Matthew, is there, do any of these companies provide any type of grants for these types of things, to offer them up for libraries, do you know, have you looked into it?
I haven't looked into that yet.
That's where I'd like to go. I think that, be a great pilot project perhaps for some of these companies.
This is way beyond, I mean, pilot, other people may do pilot a long time ago.
On lending?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's not, we're going to be a follower,
Okay. Well,
I mean, we certainly can, he can look for grants, but I wouldn't wait, I wouldn't hold my breath.
So what I'm suggesting though is that we get them to give us the iPads or tablets or booklets, and you think that that's already being done?
That's how Eau Claire got 15.
They were given to them? Well, I guess that's the route I'd be looking at.
It's certainly worth trying.
All you can do is say no.
The
That's
answer to
right,
every
yes.
unasked question is no.
Right, right,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right, so check that out.
Okay.
Which bud came.
Okay,
Vote.
Yep, all right, so we have motion on the floor.
Peterson.
All those in favor of the technology plan, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion prevails
Amended.
as amended, yeah.
Okay. It came up at our last meeting that the discussion on compensation for part-time employees during our water closure from May 9th through the 14th, 2014. When we closed during our move, we did not pay the part-time employees for not being here. They were paid for work hours only. So the question is, do you want to pay part-time staff for when the library was closed?
And they didn't work.
And there was non-work hours.
I mean, do you have any idea how much that would cost?
Well, it was 176 hours and it was $2,717.90. Now, the paraprofessionals are entitled to vacation hours, so they use their vacation hours. The clerks that work 10 hours a week do not accrue vacation hours. Library aides do not accrue vacation hours, so they lost pay at that time. I think we already set precedents when we made our move where we did not pay for non-work hours. City employees, part-time employees are paid for work hours for part-time people.
Yeah, I personally don't see a reason to pay people when they don't work, especially part-time employees. Full-time employees are under a different set of rules. But part-time employees are based on hourly work, and they didn't work and they don't get paid.
Hourly work with no benefits.
Right?
Correct.
Well, and according to Devin, that would be a departure from city policy anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know if we'd be able to explain that.
Unfortunately, when it was an incident, natural incident, but sorry. I don't think we can.
Are you looking for any type of action on that, Linda, or is that good enough?
I think that's good enough because it's been resolved. The employees already know what
Okay.
happened. I just know it was brought up. It was
Yep.
supposed to be a discussion item.
So from where does that decision come in the sort of chain of command? Is that a decision you make, or is that the city makes? So what?
I contacted Devin to find out how I should handle those non-work hours. And as city employees, that's the schedule we follow. You do not work, you do not get paid when you're working part-time.
And I'm not objecting to the decision. What I'm wondering is, if the board, this is a question whether we voted on it or not, does that give you any cover if the board votes, on it, or does it really not make any difference?
I don't think it would make any
Okay.
difference. Because we have to follow the personnel.
Yeah, I mean,
It could force her position if she thought she needed it.
Yeah. I was just looking for something that Linda might.
If you want to make a motion, you're welcome to do that.
the motion would be that we endorse complying with
It adheres to city policy.
the
Yeah.
existing employee policy.
Yeah.
And city policy.
Or, yeah, city employee
City
policy.
employee.
I don't think it's needed.
Pardon me?
I don't think it's needed.
Yeah, I would think the only departure would be,
Right.
If there's any,
Yeah,
if there's a challenge, then we could revisit,
Yeah,
I
if
think.
we were gonna depart from or something like that.
Yeah, we,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
Otherwise, we're just abiding by the
Yeah,
policy.
yeah.
It makes my job easier if we follow policy.
Right.
sure. Okay,
It may not make people happy, but
If you needed reinforcement, it's
I can always
easily
bring it
done,
back.
bring it back.
okay, you all done?
I have a part-time library assistant who was hired at 30 hours a week. She now is cut down to 20 hours because she took another job, and I said, well, okay, I would see if the board would allow me to hire someone for 10 hours a week. She has since also asked to reduce her hours one night a week. When I had the discussion, I asked if she wanted to quit. I need coverage. That's I have people on staff as backup a lot of times, so in case someone gets sick, I have coverage on these desks and the desk downstairs. So it was discussed at the finance committee, and does anybody want to talk from the finance?
Yeah, the finance committee recommended that we approach St. Catherine's University specifically, as opposed to putting it in the Hudson Star Observer, for a person who would like to work 30 hours a week. And if we get a good candidate, we will replace this person because they're unable to fulfill the requirements of the job, which is a 30-hour-a-week job. And so we would just ask her to leave.
Why St. Catherine's?
It was recommended by Linda as one of the universities which has kind of the master's program with the people that we're looking for.
Library science.
Mhm,
like
yes,
science
yeah.
and stuff.
It's the only,
Yeah.
it's the only.
And the advertising in Hudson Star is going to cost us $500. And we're saying, well, why spend $500? Maybe we try St. Catherine's, see what we get out of that, and save the $500, if we can. I mean, if St. Catherine's doesn't work, then we'll have to take the next step.
A little bit more background, the person just graduated from program paralegal. And, you know, she's throttling back her hours, and why, you really think she's gonna stay here, or is she gonna throttle back more, or she's got taking a second job, and, you know, I mean, to me, the handwriting's kind of on the wall that she's gonna look for a position, a professional position as a paralegal.
It's very
rather than-
difficult to hire 10 hours a week.
Yeah, how do you?
Yeah.
That's why we.
So, and I'm not opposed to this at all. I'm just trying to think through this. I mean, somebody that's in the program over at St. Kate's is going to be able to give us 30 hours a week?
A graduate,
A
a
graduate.
new graduate.
Graduate.
Or
Oh, okay, I was thinking
Somebody
somebody in the
ready to-
master's program.
No, we're looking at
Okay,
somebody who's
all right,
graduated.
cool.
See what they can find.
Or maybe some master's program person just graduates and they would
Yeah.
like to start 30 hours a week, I don't know. I
Yeah,
guess we're just
right,
kind of
right.
searching, we're just kind of
Right,
searching
right,
for
right.
them.
Linda, is there a listserv for public library positions?
What I do is I put it on the Indian Federated Library System website.
Okay.
I also put it in the Minnesota website.
Okay,
The MetroNet,
yeah.
because those two are free. I
Right,
have
right,
done
because,
that.
yeah, so there are some other, besides St. Kate's, there's some other library-free places where you can post positions, so.
And, yeah, I do that in, you know, I do
Right,
use.
because I really do want somebody with education, library
Right.
science
I
education.
want someone with education.
Right, so,
And it's part of the job description.
good. Do we need to approve moving forward with this, or what?
I would think so.
I will make a motion to advertise in St. Catherine's for the library science major for 30 hours a week. And after we interview candidates, if we select one, we'll move forward from there.
And when you say move forward from that, you find
That would
out.
be letting the current employee know that they're not meeting the requirements of the job and we need to move forward. And I'm sure that she probably wants to move forward too.
Right.
Hopefully it'll be a mutual understanding.
Okay.
Sounds like she's headed that way already, though.
Second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we explore going to St. Catherine's looking for a part-time library assistant. Is that sufficient? Further discussion?
Well, and we better put on there, about the 30-hour person.
Okay, 30 hours a
You
week.
gotta
30 hours.
put that in that motion, just to cover me.
Okay, all right. Whose motion was it? Was it yours, Rich?
I think
Okay,
it
so
was.
he just added it, that's fine. All right, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion prevails.
8G was something that Kurt wanted to know about.
G, H and I, wasn't it?
Well, discussion and possible action on cataloging materials in-house versus contracting this service to more for a fee. He wanted to know, have the breakdown of the cost.
All right, so essentially what's happening is that Kurt, Kurt is exploring cost savings. And he's obviously that last round with IFLS ticked him off pretty good and moved him to start to explore ways that we can save money and provide, you know, I mean, we would obviously have to be providing the same, if not better service. So he was gonna have a discussion about that tonight, and because he couldn't be here, he asked that we pull this from the agenda and add it into the next meeting, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that we still have that information in front of us, you know, that you want to do on a quarterly basis, so that everybody has a chance to take a look at the circulation and everything else in the different modes. So, and you know what, and that's a good thing. I mean, we need to be looking at ways, cost savings, and it makes everybody better. So, let's see what happens.
So G, H, and I have been pulled from the agenda.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we need some sort of a
Motion.
move to table or something, or what? I mean,
Just put them on next month's agenda.
Yeah.
Just move them to next month.
All right, any other discussion on that?
Linda,
ahead.
I'm wanting us to, I would like to make sure that the board has all the information it needs about IFLS and more and the services we get from them and the costs of those services, so that the board can listen with a well-informed ear.
I would suspect, and I think that's good. I would suspect that the conversation that we're going to have, that he's going to lead, is going to raise more questions than it's going to answer. So, I mean, it's obviously we're not going to be taking any vote on this anytime soon, but it's exploratory at this point.
But as long as we finish before December 31st, because if you want to get out of IFLS, it takes a year to get out of it.
Right.
So you have to stay in it for the full year of 2015.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
we don't get out, even if we say we're getting out at anytime this year before it's
Won't be 2016.
16 before we're out.
I thought if we made a decision before
You have to
the
be in a
31st.
full year after.
You have to be a whole year after
But if we make a decision in November, then 2015 would be a whole year.
Yes,
So we get out in 2016.
16.
Right.
I'm sure that we would have a resolution to it before then. I would think we need, you know, two or three meetings on it, so I think we'll do it
And we need to hold a public hearing.
in order to pull off.
We need a public hearing.
A public hearing?
It's what's it's in the state law, right?
Isn't,
Anyway, that's,
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's something we'll have to bring up. I think it was if we went on at the Indian Bid Federated System. One of the things I had notes on is, we definitely are going to have to think about who the stakeholders are. We can't just make this decision and not inform the public.
yeah, and then that's why the
Yeah.
public hearings are part of
You know,
that.
and it's just,
Well, that's why we need to understand fully what we get.
The pros and cons.
The pros and cons,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
And we need to look at who are our competitors. It's gonna be Somerset, Roberts,
Yeah,
Richmond.
well,
River Falls.
we need to have the full discussion.
Right,
Yeah.
there's no.
Okay, so that's why the agreement is here and
Mhm.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
Dutch, so we can review this.
Okay, everybody good?
Just a question, where we, seems like a rather weighty topic. Will we do this with a limited agenda in the meeting or separate?
No, I intended to do it during a regular meeting. Kurt is going to have, he'll have the information that he has gathered, and like I say, I firmly believe it'll raise more questions and provide answers, at least in the first meeting, and then just go from there.
And I did include the information that he wanted distributed tonight. So you can look at that as well. And then there's a video on the website that he wanted to show tonight, so I'll probably be showing it at our next meeting, but if you want to preview it ahead of time, we can.
Yeah, that's on the software.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll watch that. That is 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, very short one.
Very short, yeah. And I would expect that if we decide that we're not going to stay with more, then we would need to go out for an RFP for software. We would not just, we would, have to follow a protocol to investigate the options that are out in the marketplace, and so.
And in the participation agreement, it does say that once we vote to leave more, I cannot vote on any of the issues at Directors' Council
That affect more or any at all?
that affect, it would, when we go to more, we're affecting all the libraries and we make decisions. And I would not be able to make vote.
Even though we'd continue in more for another year.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Just from a speculative standpoint, is there any possible snowball effect to this? I mean, if we would decide to leave, would other libraries?
I mean, I think that
contemplate?
what more provides is access. Our collection is about 70,000 items. By joining together, all the libraries have access together to a collection of close to 1 million
Sure.
items. And
So smaller libraries are really quite independent.
yeah, right. I mean, it's what libraries have been doing, is joining together to share resources. I mean, they've been doing it for a very long time. I mean, the MARC record is a big reason to have standardization so that you could share resources, and that's been true since the 1960s. So I don't know. I don't think we're not going to lead.
Just,
Yeah.
what
No.
the motivation,
I mean-
if the motivation is true for one, might it be true for
I
another?
would say that if a case can be made for us to make a move, then yes, it's likely to have a snowball effect. If it's that good, that would move us to move away from more, then it certainly would trigger other people looking at it.
Mm.
Which might possibly more might entertain adjustments or something, I mean,
Possible.
in their approach as well.
Well, their costs are coming from their vendors. I mean, a lot of it's passed through. I mean, they do have a fee, but most of what we're paying is passed through of the vendor costs. So there's not a lot of, if you look at what we're getting and what we're paying for, that 26,000, a relatively small part of that 26,000 is actually software maintenance. There are other things that we're getting for it. And in reality, what we're getting is, our circulation, about 4,000 items a month come for our patrons. So, from the more libraries. So, another way of looking at it is that our patrons get access to those materials for about 50 cents an item. So, I mean, that's another way of looking at what we get for that $26,000, or what our patrons get. I mean, they get an online catalog and they get an integrated library system, but what it really gives our patrons is access to that 48,000 items that we borrow from those other libraries.
Right
Next
now,
month, right?
I'm not looking.
Excuse me?
Next month,
Next month.
Next month, yeah.
next couple months probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
the
that's
the
the
only reason I
reason,
ask is
yeah.
because there are sometimes there are anticipated consequences and then there's unanticipated
Yeah.
consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I doubt, given the numbers and
Okay,
the positive impact of resource sharing, I doubt it.
yeah.
We would definitely have to let the public know about this. And there will be responses.
Well,
Huge amount.
All right. Anything else? Friends of the library?
Gloria, I guess I'm still a friend. Well, they are, without any specifics, we are exploring some other ways to bring in some fundraising. And we are also trying to stimulate some more volunteers, which is another thing. We want you. And trying to figure out some way to take advantage of these summer concerts that are here down at the lake that would bring in a buck or two.
In the band shell?
Yes, because we are open until 8 o'clock, and those programs start at 7. So you've got 500 people down there maybe. So I don't know, I've made some proposals which I won't even go into because, you know, I know I'm too far ahead with the things that I'm asking. Because every answer is, you know, we can't really afford that. Yeah, we can.
Does that mean you found the money?
No, and I'll give you 1%. No, I wish I knew where this money is that we have here in Hudson. Nobody's sharing that information.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned to you before in previous, conversations, if you all have any idea that you think we could try
well,
at the Friends, by all means, you don't want to talk to them, talk to me.
we are talking to them.
Okay.
Well, we are.
Yeah.
I mean, this next agenda item,
Well,
that includes the
I
friends.
love the idea of the committee business getting together. I love it, that you're all talking to each other.
You're doing more than talking.
I guess that's about it.
One would expect that that's what we'd be doing anyway, right? All right, thanks, Gloria.
Yes.
Appreciate it. All right, so the library leadership group, we are meeting again next Wednesday, is that right? Is that the 30th?
Well, it's the 30th, so it's a Monday. It's the Monday, it's 2 weeks from
2 weeks.
yesterday.
Yeah, okay.
2 weeks from yesterday.
I think that we're making good progress. I can't remember if we reported here that the Hudson Foundation is talking about joining us in the fundraising effort. And they are exploring something to do for 2014 for their fundraising. I think it's an anniversary for them. And they wanted to weigh in. They've had a couple other requests to help fundraise for some projects. I don't know that they have made a decision yet, but they are leaning our way. But we've got to have something specific. I guess we did kind of talk about this at the last meeting. So before they'll embrace this, we We've certainly shown them that there's a willingness between the three organizations, the library board, the foundation, and the Friends of the Library, to work together for the fundraising. So they like that, but now they want to see teeth in what it is that we're trying to raise money for. So they're looking for specifics. And that's, Matthew, I think we talked a little bit about that last time. So we are running short of time if they're going to join us, because that's their 2014 effort. And so we need to come up with specifics on what it is that we're going to raise money for, how much we want to raise, what this library is going to look like. Okay, so I will entertain suggestions on how to get all this done.
Well, one idea is for the purchase of the building, which was the original intent of the library.
Yeah.
And so that would be certainly a big fundraising effort.
But that's not what they're not looking at millions, they're looking at $50,000 to $100,000.
Right, yeah, the group itself is not actually even considering the purchase of the building right now.
Who is the Hudson Foundation?
It is, it's a group of people that, they're one of the communities that are part of the St. Croix Valley Foundation group. And I don't know exactly who they are offhand. I can tell you the people that I know that have been involved in it are like Dick Whitcomb, the mayor, Sam Carey.
So I mean, all right, so I don't know. Just because, not looking for names or specifically, but who are they, what do they do, or what kind of things have they done in the past, or, in 2 minutes, not to belabor this, but I'm just curious who this is.
I think we can get some help here.
The Hudson Foundation's been around for over 20 years. The board has been changing gradually through the years with different individuals. The theory was that it was brought together to raise funds for capital improvements, the acquisition of a building, or to fix up an existing building. Their thought had always been that it would be with regard to the building rather than ongoing funding or administrative or anything like that. But they have essentially failed through that entire time period. They've hired 3 different fundraisers at times in the past. One quit after 2 days, one quit after 2 weeks, and one quit after 2 months. And but that's probably the key element that they have failed to do, is to find a professional fundraiser and go out and solicit from the not only various local corporations, local businesses, local individuals, but the national groups that do provide funding and grants for library purposes. They've just never gotten their act together. And then slowly through the years, the personnel change on the board, and they seem to go back and reinvent the wheel and start over and go nowhere. The Friends have underwritten several of their financial efforts, which usually are in the form.
You're talking about the Library Foundation, not the Hudson Foundation.
Yeah, the Library Foundation.
No, that's not what we're talking about.
Oh, okay. I thought
That's
you
not
meant
what we're
about-
talking about.
I know a lot about the library foundation.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, the key still
well-
is they need to hire a professional fundraiser.
So let's answer Dave's question here if we can.
Well, the Hudson Foundation is a part of the St. Croix Valley Foundation. It's a subset. The St. Croix Valley Foundation was established in 1995 by a group of well-meaning residents in an effort to contribute to the progress of the St. Croix Valley of Wisconsin, Minnesota in the fields of health, music, and the arts. The foundation also works to preserve the existing culture as well as the physical beauty of the valley. As a community-based foundation, the group manages donations and distributes them equally to various projects on behalf of the donors. They also suggest different areas that need attention to donors so that they can direct their donations for particular causes that they are close to their hearts. The St. Croix Foundation also distributes funds to other charitable institutions operating in the area to help further their causes as well as to encourage long-term progress in the county. the St. Croix Valley Foundation has $15 million in 174 separate funds. And I think many of those separate funds are actually donor advised funds.
Mhm.
And the St. Croix Valley Foundation is managing those.
Dedicated funds then to a.
Well,
Yeah.
a donor advised fund, my husband and I actually have one. So the donor sets it up and then they designate where those.
Designated benefactor for.
Yeah, and it's not a set, you don't set it up for one particular charitable purpose. Yeah. It's a, anyway.
Okay. Thank you.
So, it's an august group, and I think that they lend a lot of credence to what we're trying to do. I think they would be a tremendous partner. But back to what we're saying is that we've got to come up with specifics on what it is we're trying to raise money for. And they will not embrace this until we've done that. So we've got
Excuse me, what I kind of did is just went through and made a list of what I would like to see or what a good library is, and we do have a lot of it. You know, a lot of the building, the meeting rooms, the programs, a good friends group, technology, and I made a whole list, we have a lot. And so the things that I thought that what would we make, we've been talking about it, more open time. So I don't know how specific they want, it's like you need dollars for that now.
Right. Certainly that's, yep.
Time for staff for more hours. Parking came to mind. I don't know how much you can do with parking, but it's not really that.
I think the city's
clean.
working on that for us.
We're talking about the
46
technology
spots
plan,
right across the
so,
street.
yeah. You know, advanced technology, of course, you
Right.
can always do that. Maybe even gaming for kids to bring teens in. I know that's been some discussion about entertainment, but you get the teens in here, you get the community involved, you get more teen programs. Maybe some funding for more robust summer programs. And just dollars for upgrading just materials in general. So, I don't know, if you're looking at like one project or?
No, not
dollars,
necessarily, but
that's kind of.
They don't want it to be operational.
exactly.
So the idea is how do you enhance? And certainly, I mean, I think it's possible to, being open more hours
That's, I think, our biggest thing.
is I think, can be framed in such a way that it would be seen as a significant enhancement, not just operational.
So additional programming, that might warrant additional staff.
Computers, you know,
Yeah.
dollars for programs, like we're to pay out for the, you know, the experts, like we were talking about the tech support or person, or maybe a program specialist type person, specific to a program. I think our children's programs are really great, maybe focus on some adult,
More youth and adults.
interest, youth and adult.
So is it a one-time expenditure? In other words, you spend this
No.
money to bring in this speaker and then that's it? Or
Well,
is there's anything continuing about it?
what, you know, we're debating how much it is what we're trying to raise and what we're trying to raise it for. And one of the things that we mentioned in a previous meeting, Dan, was that we are looking at bringing on a fundraiser, a consultant. And we're going to be, we will be asking this group at some point in the very near future to fund that. And so.
We would be a part of a partnership.
Right.
I mean, we talked about.
So we're talking $1 million to $2 million to bring in here. And obviously, we know that we do have costs that, I mean, we've got to get our revenues up here in order to do what we need to do, in order to get back to where we were 3 years ago, right? But we want to move forward as well. And you guys all saw the numbers. You saw how much we spend on our library versus all the people around us. We know that it's, you know, very small comparatively speaking. I'm not saying that we spend money just to catch up to them, but I think that, you know, there's a good cause that can be made here argument that can be made that we really need to increase our funding for these programs. So we need to figure out what they're going to be and then raise the money for them. Will some of it be operational? Well, yeah, it will be. It depends upon how you construe it, you know. If we have to bring on additional staff, is that operational? And it's additional staff to staff some of the programs that we may want, some of the technology, is that operational? Arguable. But that's kind of where we're headed. And we want to have, so I don't know if I'm answering your question, is it a one-time expenditure? Some of the things that we're going to do would be one-time expenditures. We're looking to have a fund that's going to last us a long time. And in fact, what we're trying to do, where this really began, was to provide us some relief over the course of perhaps the next 5 to 10 years while the partners are getting back up to speed where they should have been with the exempt amount, but they need time to get there because there are levy limits. So in the meantime, we've got to provide additional funding to get us where we need to be. That was the impetus.
And, I mean, the reason I was asking the question is the idea of being open more isn't just being open more. I mean, there are a lot of other costs that figure into that. But by the same token, it's, you know, sort of that old business adage, you gotta spend money to make money.
Right.
And, you know, I think to increase our revenue streams in this building, we have to spend some, you know, or find it from these organizations.
Right.
To get more people in here and to
Well,
have this play a more active role.
and of course, the thing is, we don't get a return on our money here. We provide services. And we want to provide quality services, state-of-the-art services. Can't do that with what we've got. So, and you know, the nice thing is that everybody around us, everybody that we're in discussions with, agrees with us. And so, you know, that's good. It's a good place to be when everybody's in agreement.
If they're all willing to do something then as a
Right.
result of that.
Right. So, in fact, we are going to be, at that meeting that we were just discussing, we're going to be interviewing candidates for the consultant for the fundraising. And I would suspect that we will be coming back at the next meeting with the results of that and asking for funding.
When we're separate here from the foundation, the friends and whatever, I mean,
It would be, it's a
We'll be working in concert with them.
collaboratively?
Yes.
collaboratively, a joint
Okay.
effort.
Right.
Okay. Because there's been a bone of contention for some time.
And that's why I say everybody's in agreement right now. We're, you know, everybody's on the same page from what I can see. And the last discussion was that each of those three entities would be kicking in to pay for the consultant.
And kicking in intellect and
Well,
energy and passion as well.
You gotta get that first, I think.
And let me also say that the amount that we're looking at to spend on this consultant is significantly less than what we spent on the last one.
Well,
And hopefully with, you know, again, significantly different results.
Can't be worse.
Okay. The text messaging thing, we brought that in last time just to give you an idea of what's out there. Again, you know, Karen, that might be something we would add to the list, is to have something like that where we can advertise good marketing. That is a very inexpensive way to go, but we'll save that for a future discussion. Annual fundraising campaign. I'm not sure, Linda, what you wanted to talk about here.
Barbara
but-
wanted that on there because.
Who did?
Barbara asked for have it on there.
Okay, this is our annual.
We have $10,000 in our budget right now for a annual fund appeal. And so, and it, I mean, based on what I know about the other effort, that's not gonna, I mean, it's likely to get started, but it's not gonna raise those monies, I don't believe.
Yeah.
So, we want to direct Linda to begin to work on that, or?
That was usually a January effort, wasn't it? Or
Well, it was done in, last year it was done in April, May, June timeframe.
You know, I have one thing to say about that. I think it's a very good idea. But we already made the decision, we're not going to have a programming communication specialist. And that's the one that did a little work on
Right,
it.
right, right, right.
It's a lot of work on the collection end of it, getting printed, everything. Do you know, are we going to bring someone in to create all this? Or are we going to just say, or add it to all the list of everything else?
Well,
Right.
I think to preface that by saying we got a $10,000 budget, it's possible we could use that for help on that. I would ask this, why don't we put this on hold until our meeting?
Okay.
Let's bring that up with the other partners on this and the leadership thing and see, tell them that, you know.
And where's it in the budget?
No, it's under the income.
Well, yeah, that's the income, though. You need 10,000 for expenditures to run it, don't you? You got 10,000 on
Yeah,
income,
yeah.
which
There'll be expenses of.
which I don't agree with, but.
I mean, Linda's right. The communication specialist is the person who did most of the work last year in crafting the materials that went out and the intellectual work on it. And we don't have that person now.
Okay.
So, I mean, in a sense, you know, well, not having that person means we're saving, what, $20-some thousand. So, I mean,
Let's put this on the agenda for the next meeting. We'll come back after our discussion with these other guys and see what we're gonna do for a timeline. Finance Committee.
Recurring expenses been reviewed by the Finance Committee. There's claims for $36,292.72, and there's really nothing extraordinary. There was a $600 technology charge for the Department of Administration and Internet, but it's within budget. It's not something that's extraordinary. It's something we pay every 6 months, I think, Linda. That's why it was mentioned. But other than that, there's really nothing out of the ordinary, so the Finance Committee makes a recommendation to approve claims of $36,292.72.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we pay the claims for the current month. Is it just a month?
Yeah, it's for through 6/17.
Okay.
For payment 6/17.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion prevails.
There are no expenses that are non-recurring, so there's no reason to talk about that. And if you look at the year-to-date so far, you know, it's really, and I mentioned this one, the Finance Committee tracking extremely well. Our revenue is up $13,511, and our expenses are $30,484,000 less than the previous year. So when you look at what's happening right now, the balance and the management and control of the finances are moving ahead very nicely at this point in time. And if we can continue that, we should be in good shape by the end of the year. Good.
Excellent. Anything else?
That was all we had.
Thanks, Rich. Nice job, Linda.
Linda's doing a good job of controlling costs.
All right. Library website, contact information, Adonis Road. Linda, anything in particular?
I think Karen said I had the wrong information under her name.
you included the information that's available, right?
Yeah, it was off of the phone book. But I have to correct Karen's. Anybody else want it corrected?
Mine is correct on the website, just not on this piece of paper you can have.
Okay. Anyway, everybody okay with the information and how I would?
Okay.
Mine's already out there anyway.
And then you're going to set up a generic email for the board?
I have.
Okay, so that's posted so that if there's anything that comes in, it'll go to you? And
No, it'll
then,
be at the board of trustees. It's your web address, your email.
But you're gonna monitor it.
We didn't have that in the motion.
No,
I mean,
she's,
afterwards.
she set up generic accounts for us, or a generic account for the board,
Yeah.
you know, so.
so, somebody needs, are we going to rotate responsibility for checking it?
Oh,
No, no, it's a board responsibility.
I'm just
Is this
saying,
what you were talking about?
yes. Do I have to write everything for you in there?
Yeah, you just don't have a phone.
Oh,
But that's okay.
oh. Write it in and put it on that sheet of paper. I thought I had done everything. So,
So do you have access to this?
yes.
You would, right? And then-
But the question is, do you want me to forward it to the other email addresses that I have on? But the public would see this generic
Right.
one and send messages to this generic one.
Well, can't you set up a list that they would be forwarded to all of us? And our protocol would be that we would not respond? No. I mean, we won't, we can't have a dialogue.
Right.
I mean, but that we would all know
Yeah.
what came in.
Yeah.
Well, heck, why don't I just create one grouping under this email address and whenever anything comes forward, I forward it to you.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
I create a listing or a group.
Yeah, a group. I don't know what nomenclature for your system, but
Works
And
for
I
me.
monitor it on a daily basis.
That works. Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Linda? All right.
But realize, then you'll have to go into your, well, you won't have to send it. I don't have anything else.
Personnel committee?
No.
Nothing? Okay. Anything else? Any other discussion? Entertain a motion?
Move to adjourn. Second.
We move and second that we adjourn. All those in favor?
Yep.
Opposed? Meeting stands adjourned. Thank you, everybody.